when politics enter sports, like I don't mean like sports politics. I mean like politics. Like I didn't agree with the Russian athlete ban. I mean, what the hell do they have to do with what their government's doing? You know, I'm Canadian. My leader is the worst leader in the world, and people aren't judging me because you know what I mean? Because my leader's an idiot. Well, maybe they are, but I don't know. That would be
You,
very
you
silly.
know, it's the same here in Puerto Rico. Like Puerto Rico is a very small island. It's only 100 miles by 35 miles, right? And 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 our politicians do not pay attention enough, or as other nations do, to sports. And we end up doing most, like, everything spots. I'm not just arm wrestling. Every sport, it ends up, if it's not like basketball, baseball, it has to carry its own weight. And 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 sometimes, when I'm gonna tell you, like this. If I want arm wrestling to be the real thing in Puerto Rico, I have to get the government involved. And I'm doing it.
Okay,
I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it, and it's paying attention, and it's helping and everything. Okay. But
nice.
the thing is, every politician sees it as an opportunity to gain something out of it. And when that happens, it's when, stuff gets
Yeah,
dirty,
yeah,
you
of
know?
course. Yeah,
So I understand what you're saying.
yeah. Politics need to stay out of sport. Um, I mean, you can have internal politics in your sport. I mean, that's never going to change. But I'm talking about like the Russian athletes should not have been banned. People say, well, what about the Ukrainian athletes and how they would feel? Like, well, I would say this: if I was Ukrainian, and yeah, I'm upset that Russia's invading, but I have to compartmentalize. Like, this athlete is not doing this. You know, he's an athlete, and he has no choice. Like, he has no decision making on who gets invaded or what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blocking, it's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Because guys make a living in overseas at the sports. You know what I mean? And you know, it's unfortunate. Like, we're sportsmen. We're not
Yeah, it's
so.
definitely unfortunate, because like, the best example is that the Russia-Ukrainian thing, and if they have their thing going on with the invasion or whatever, that, life goes on, and people still wants that, they people have goals, people want to do stuff, people would love to have something to keep their minds busy, and not concentrating the drama that's going on around them with the war and everything. And athletes should not be involved. Like, no country should held accountable for whatever decision that led to some kind of conflict between nations, with athletes. Like, if Russia, people were banning Russia from competing or participating from events, that's wrong, because the athlete does not, it's not accountable for that. He doesn't have nothing to do with it. And even the organization, like the Russian Federal Federation of Arm Wrestling, does not have nothing to do with the conflict or whatever. So yeah, politics should be out of sports at like 100%.
I agree. Um, so arm wrestling in Puerto Rico, is it catching on? Is it something big? Because I'll tell you, you mentioned earlier when we weren't recording, you're talking about baseball and basketball. Like, for a small country, I can't believe how competitive your basketball teams are. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Canada just started getting good. It's kind of funny because most people think, oh, America basketball, America this. I'm like, invented by a Canadian. It's like,
Yeah.
still was invented by a Canadian, and it's actually in my province. The guy's house, and they have a sign that says Doctor the house of Doctor Naismith, and stuff like that. But no, Canada's basketball program is getting unbelievable. I actually think there was a conspiracy to to basically hurt the Canadian team going into this Olympics because, you know, it was the big U.S. swan song, right? And the head coach was Steve Kerr for the U.S. team, right? And he had Andrew Wiggins, who's one of the most athletic guys in the league, and they don't use him correctly. But on Team Canada, he could be like a Jordan, right? And
Yeah.
they didn't let him go. They didn't let him play. But Steve let Steph Curry play. You know what I mean? And then we have a 7'4", 300-pound giant in Zach Edey. Like those are the two positions that would have changed everything for us because we were one of the very best teams in the world. Like if you look at our roster, so I thought there was some fuckery going on there, but you know
I
me.
believe you. I believe you because do you remember the World Series of Baseball when Puerto Rico got to the finals
This was like
and
what? This was
it
like
was against the United States,
Yeah, yeah,
and all like all our players were Major League Baseball players, right? And we were doing so good, and we just bombed that game, And there was a lot of talk that the organizations, like the teams that the players played for in the major leagues, pressured them to do bad so Puerto Rico wouldn't win. You know, stuff like that happens.
yeah.
It is what it is.
It's sad because you know they wanted to make sure that LeBron has a send off and everybody, but I'm telling you, if we would have had, and then like there was guys that didn't make the team that just didn't make sense. Like Shaden Sharp is probably the most athletic guy in the league. Like he can fly. And then some of the really tough defenders, like Benedict Mathurin for the Indiana Pacers, he locks down everybody. But we had Dort and we had Dylan Brooks and their defenders too. But it was just like it was very odd as to who they left off and who they put on. And I don't understand in FIBA, I don't understand why you don't put a 7'4", 300-pound, two-time NCAA player of the year, Zach Edey. Like he, you know what I'm saying? He was the best college player
Yeah.
of all time statistically. And it's like, why isn't that guy? And we had a problem with size. Like our centers were undersized, and it's just that we had a lot of great guards. I mean, SGA Shea Gilgis Alexander is one of the best players in the world. You know, Jamal Murray is Mr. Clutch, right? So we have RJ Barrett is killing it in the NBA this year. He's really good. Anyway, it's an arm wrestling show, so let's.
Yeah. Welcome everybody back to your podcast from Pulseo TV, Probando Fuerza. This is Manolo Sanchez, the face of arm wrestling in Puerto Rico and the voice of the sport in Latin America. And tonight, I'm joined by a man that I've followed for years, a big, strong guy, a big, good, strong Canadian arm wrestler, which he's not arm wrestling so much these days, but he has his good run in the WAL, and I admire him a lot. My good friend, Ian Carnegie, the
Hello,
creator
how are you doing?
and the creator of the MAC Major Arm Wrestling Championship. How you doing, Ian?
Doing great. Thank you for having me on, and welcome to everyone in Puerto Rico arm wrestling. I'm glad that there's some good representation down south in Puerto Rico. Hopefully, I can come down sometime.
Yeah, hopefully we can collab in some event or promotion.
Okay.
Now, I'm very honored that you accepted in a very short amount of time to be on this show. And I always do this show to know the person, know whatever it is that it's going to be the main subject of the conversation. And of course, I've always followed you and admire you as an arm wrestler, as an athlete.
Thank you.
And for the younger generation, this guy was one of the like the OGs from Canada. Like when Devon was walking around and nobody knew him, Ian was with him. So they are friends. They have known each other their entire life. So Ian is kind of an arm wrestling legend and icon in Canada and in North America for guys my age. So Ian, I just want to know, before we get into the MAC thing, I want to learn a little bit about you. You know, how long have you been arm wrestling?
How long? Actually, this year in March would be my 20th year.
So you've been arm wrestling 20 years.
Yeah, in March, I think March 5th. So March 5th in 2005, I won. I entered a military arm wrestling championships, and I won that. And no training, like just something I like to do. And none of the arm wrestlers there, the soldiers, none of them had arm wrestling training. It was just like Devin put on a arm wrestling because he was in the military as well, and I think he used it as a like a recruitment tool. Like, you know, soldiers are strong.
Yeah.
Let's see who's the best. Okay, I want that guy. You know.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
In February 5th, I'll be 45.
So you started arm wrestling at 25 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've been arm wrestling 20 years. And you just told me, you just answered my next question is how did you got into arm wrestling? And and for the younger generation that says always answers that question saying, "Oh, I was just watch Devin Larratt's videos and I got into the sport." Well, this man got into the sport with Devin, like right there when he was in the military and Devin did it in an event. That's where Ian started, right?
Well, I'll say this: the very first tournament on an actual like arm wrestling table that I did, I was 17 years old. It was the high school arm wrestling championships, and I won that too. But then I didn't do anything. There was nothing like I didn't know about the Ontario Arm Wrestling Association or the Canadian Arm Wrestling. I didn't know it was a thing until I got into the army and I met an arm wrestler and he's like, yeah, it's a thing. And I'm like, wow, I can't wait to. So I would challenge everybody. And even when I went to Afghanistan, I would stock up some barrack boxes and I would arm wrestle everybody. And it was funny because all my friends would say, you know, because they knew Devin. I didn't know Devin. And they're like, you're a good arm wrestler, but you're no Devin Larratt. And I had to hear that for 2 years before I met him. Yeah. I was killing everybody, and then all
So
of a
you were in
sudden,
the military too?
yeah. Devin and I are from the same regiment. Not when he left to go do black ops, but when he was a regular infantry soldier. Yeah, we're from the same. He was in my sister battalion. I was light infantry. He was mechanized, and then he went off to special forces after that. But we never knew each other as soldiers. It was really just it was like we're both soldiers, but we became friends through arm wrestling.
And I know Devin has been arm wrestling all his life. Like he arm wrestled with his grandmother and everything, and that's his story, you know.
Yeah,
And it's good. It's good to know that you guys were both in the military at the same time, and life brought you guys together to arm wrestle.
yeah.
It's a
Well, it
really
was
really
really
nice
him,
story.
right? It was him. I was playing basketball at the base gym, and you know, I was about 255 pounds. I was on the military national team for tug of war, and it's a sport of like very incredible grip strength, and there's not a lot of glory, individual glory in tug of war. It's all pain. That's what it is. Tug of war is all pain and pride, and even when you win or you lose, it's the same feeling because you're just glad it's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was an athlete. I played basketball in college, played hockey. I did a lot of strength sports. I was an amateur wrestler. I come from my family is a pro wrestling family and amateur wrestling and Olympic wrestling. Actually, my uncle was in the Olympics, and arm wrestling sort of came naturally to me because I was so strong. But I think when you look at my genetics, it actually wasn't. I probably would have did better in other sports, like maybe strongman or different. Because I don't like for a super heavyweight, I'm only 6 feet, and I have a negative reach, so I'm like
Yeah.
5'11" with like reach, and small hands. Like, I mean, I know people say, "Oh, you got big hands." I have thick hands. It's different from big,
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, and but my kid and I are about the same height, and he's the opposite. I have three boys, but my oldest is as long as Devin from here to finger, and he's only 6 feet, so he's like 6'7", like, you know what I mean? Like very long levers,
Yeah.
and he's short. Yeah, well, he's my height. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's 6 feet is it's in Puerto Rico. If you're 6 feet, you're like, yeah, you're tall,
Oh,
but it's
okay, okay.
in
But
the
I'm a super
world.
heavyweight in North America. 6 feet is pretty average. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But they're
Yeah,
shorter. I
like
mean,
right now I'm
my
5'10". I'm 5'10", and I cannot be a super heavyweight or even a heavyweight. I mean, I'm right now I'm competing at the 100 kg
Yeah, I was
category,
just gonna
but
say you're
I
probably
should
100
compete
kg.
in 95 or 90 because guys are too big
Yeah,
for me in the
it's
100 kilos.
tough to lose that weight when we get older, eh?
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. And I lost a lot of weight, but I can get to 90 kilo,
Yeah,
but yeah, but I'm too weak. I'm too weak. I got it,
yeah, I know what you mean. Whenever I get like disciplined with my weight loss, and I get really caught up in the numbers, and then I go to practice and everyone beats me, and I'm like, oh, screw this, and I start eating again.
So,
Yeah,
uh, uh, talk to me about the WAL years.
right. Okay. So, when I wasn't part of it originally. Like they had like WAL on ESPN, and they had tournaments, and Devin got in there, and Travis, and all my friends were that were ahead of me, and they deserve those shots, and I was getting kind of jealous. I was like, man, like, I'm pretty good, you know what I mean? And then they started putting out qualifiers, right? So you had to finish top two in order to get to this one particular tournament. And then from there, they started picking the league, you know what I mean? And so so I finished top two in two different tournaments, one right, one left. And then I went to the Tenacious 12 in Chicago, where in the preliminary they took like the top 22 guys or something like that didn't already qualify. So like Dave Chafee didn't have to go there, uh, but Michael Todd and Travis Bajan had to requalify because of I think with Travis it had to do something with his contract, but I'm not going to speak on stuff I don't know. Okay, but he had to qualify, and Michael was there as well. And I ended up going undefeated in the preliminary. I beat Travis there, and then we had to go and do a finals, but they took away his loss, and then they made it a super match. Now I was like 400 pounds then, and my adrenaline was really high early from beating Travis, because Travis was the number one in the world. Remember, the year before he went through
Yeah,
Dave Chafee, Jerry Caderet, Ryan Espy, all the top guys, and like Levon. Those guys weren't even relevant then. And
yeah.
so he was number one. And so when I beat him, my adrenaline went through the roof. And hours later, they said, "Oh, you're gonna have a super match, and it's 0-0." And I'm like, 0-0? Like, anyway, he ended up beating me 3-1, and I was kind of disappointed because I felt like he wasn't trying to keep his elbow down at all. And my friend was on the live stream, and he said, "Ian, in that super match, I counted 17 elbow fouls from Travis Page." He's like, because I was really strong like that day. Like I had a very my shoulder and my bone lock was, I don't really uh I don't really have a king's move bone lock, but I can get it. I can get it so it's stuff to go side
Yeah,
pressure. Do you get what I mean?
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
open up this way, but if you try to attack me this way, I can get very, not today, but when I was in my top shape, you didn't want to go this way against me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I call it the Great Wall of Grippler.
Nice name. Nice name.
Yeah. So anyway, I ended up finishing second overall. Won the preliminaries undefeated, but came second. And then they just grabbed all the top guys from that tournament plus what they already had, and they formed WAL.
Yeah,
Like
but I remember.
the Super Series, you know, like with
Yeah,
the
yeah, the Super Series. But I remember watching you arm wrestler on those events. You
yeah,
had a
yeah,
couple of super matches, right?
yeah. I had only two because well, I had some health issues, but they were trying to make matches for me, and then there was always issues like this guy got hurt or this guy couldn't make this date or but I won my first one, which was Tom Nelson, and then I lost my second one, which was Mike Aiello, which I give him all the respect in the world, but no excuses. I'm not going to give any, but I really wish I could get that one back, or you know, especially in that time, you know. But
Yeah.
it is what it is, and hats off to him. He was the better man.
So after all that arm wrestling, you ventured into the other part of the sport, which is promoting, right? What got you into wanna promote?
Oh well, my promoting days started in 2012. I'm the guy that had Major League Arm Wrestling, and I put on the event with Devin versus Tim Bresnan, where it went 7 rounds. I don't know if you know that. It's a long time ago, but um, and things didn't work out, and it cost me a lot of money, and I was a little gun shy. But I had developed 8x8 pads when 7x7 was WAF. I didn't like that. I thought there was a lot of problems with the sport and how it was refereed, and I didn't find it exciting anymore. And so then, you know, I stepped away from the sport, came back, um, WAL. Then that went down, so I started following my kids with their football because they got into like North American football, right? And
Yeah.
they they were in high school for football, and then they were playing competitive football. So I became a football dad, right? But then, you know, East versus West showed up, and my spouse was sitting here, and she was like, you know, we could do that ourselves. And I was like, trust me, no, I tried, you know, before, and it didn't work. You know, it costs so much money, and it's just a big headache. And I was very, very against it. Like, she was pushing me, no, and you really, you know, you have a big enough name, you have a lot of good ideas. Um, you know, why don't you try it? And I was against it. I didn't want to do it. So all of a sudden, a guy named Phil Stoppard, he was the main training partner of Gary Goodrich. You familiar with Gary Goodrich?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He was the main training partner of Gary Goodrich for years, and he was quite the arm wrestler himself. He gives me a call and he says, you know, Ian, I remember years ago you had these ideas about where arm wrestling should go and that the table needs to be different and all that stuff. He's like, I got hooked up with a couple of millionaires, and they want to start arm wrestling league and stuff. And I thought maybe we'd bring you in, and you know, you could you know, work with us. And I got way too involved. Like in my mind, I was thinking, okay, this is my chance, my opportunity. So I went out and designed a table, paid somebody to build it, came up with a rules system, and I did a presentation. And I had the depressed, you know, the pads that were inside the table. And they told me, I went and did a presentation in Toronto, and they said, you know, couldn't have done a better job, blah, 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 Ray. And they ended up going with a different promoter. And that group ended up becoming a global elite, actually. And yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
I'm not sure they're even doing anything anymore. But you know, uh, you know, my spouse and I we were like, you know, let's just start our own thing. We did things slowly. I started going to places. I ended up meeting, you know, Jody Larrett. She told a friend of ours. She was like, you should link up with Ian Carnegie, and that was Matthias Bedard, and he owns PremStream, the you know the
Yeah. I
PremStream,
know who
right,
he is. Yeah.
for the pay per view, right? Like he's doing Knuckles Up tomorrow, and so now he's my business partner. So imagine that. So I'm thinking, wow, you know what? I got it. I got this league. I got a new table, a new rule set, and now my business partner has his own pay per view platform and production team. So it's like that's a few $1,000s that I don't have to come up with right away, right? Because he we're together. So then we went. I advertising the table. I said I need people to try it. We have to proof this table before we start doing events. And this American guy texts me and he's like, I have a club in Rochester, New York, and you know, why don't you come and we'll test out your table. So his name was JJ Jackson, and from the moment I met him, we were like, we should work together, and boom, we formed the trio of Mac ownership, and we just from that point on, he gave us the venue. We did Mac One last year, and it was a very basic setup, but it started enough buzz. You know what I mean? Because people were like, "Wow, you had a lot of super matches," and it went like this, and then people were like, maybe that's a fluke. You know what I mean? Maybe it was just it went that way, and I was like, no, man, it's really the rules. It's
Yeah.
really the setup. It's Mac arm wrestling is all about let's go. So then I hooked up with a guy from Eastern Canada in Prince Edward Island. He's like, I have this tournament, or have this event. It's a super match event. Last year it was like WAF rules. This year, if you come, bring your table. We'll do it Mac style. I said okay. So I show up. They have 36 super matches. 36. Okay. Best 3 out of 5. We started at 1:20 p.m. and we finished at 6:30. So now I realized I have something here. Because what's the biggest problem with
Bro, that was quick.
so now I realize, okay, there's actually something to this. And one of the biggest complaints about the big leagues and is that, for 13 matches, it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 hours for 13 matches. And some of these individual matches take 45 minutes. So I was like, I don't necessarily think that's the way professional TV or, like right now, the Super Bowl doesn't even take that long. And arm wrestling can't take up more airtime than the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? We have to bring it into a normal amount of time. So I totally believe, like, I just put out 20, 30 super matches at events just to prove to people, like, you know, we could do a lot of, I mean, if I had a card of 13 people, I might be able to do that in an hour and a half, 2 hours. And that would fit
Yeah.
perfectly into television. But right now,
Yeah.
because I know I'm just trying to get maximum amount of participation and maximum amount of video so we can upload on our socials so people have an opportunity to see what we're doing. Because we are different. Like, there's no question we have a different skill set. The table different and the rules are different. But if you like to arm wrestle and you like, the opportunity to arm wrestle without 100 stop, like every 2 seconds, then come join Mac and have a good time.
Yeah. And I want to add to that this it like the last some one of the last pay-per-views I saw uh of arm wrestling, right? Uh it was so long I didn't even finish it. I had
Yeah.
things to do. Like I saw like half of it, and I had to get, life keeps going on. So
Yeah.
I get what you're doing and what you're saying. And I love that there's always space for something different.
Well,
Everybody likes.
this next pay-per-view, we're doing something really different. Like, everyone should tune into this pay-per-view. I know people say, "Oh, of course he's going to say that." No, like, we have a team concept that is making arm wrestling like a team, and it's not just, oh, okay, you guys are from New York, you guys are from Ontario, and then we're going to have a bunch of super matches. It's not like that. It's a team format. It has rounds, and everything matters for points. Okay, so if you flash a guy, you get so many points. If it's a grinder and you win, it's slightly less. If someone wins but they elbow fouled, then a point is deducted. You get what I mean? And so the only person that scores points.
Dude, that's impressive.
Yeah, the only person. This is not my idea, but we are merging with them. Like, it's the Table Monkeys. Have you heard of Jason Constantini and Table Monkeys?
Yeah, obviously.
So
Yeah.
they
Table
did
monkeys,
the
yeah.
team. I actually participated last March. Did really well actually. It was like my last kick at the cat. I said I'm going to train up for this. It's my buddy. He's doing something, so I got really strong and I went undefeated right-handed. Took two losses left, but whatever. It's my left hand. I don't
Yeah, it's like
care. And then and so I was really happy about it. But I left with the impression that this could be the future of arm wrestling. So how it works is you got two teams, and you have to have similar weight categories, and if you're light you can pull up but you can't pull down, right? And what they do is when a round comes up, you get 2 minutes to place your pullers in that round, and the other team doesn't know who you're picking. So they it might say super heavyweight right, middleweight left, lightweight right. You get what I'm saying? And then
yeah.
once the 2 minutes go up, boom, you see everybody, and then when your round is, who you're matching up with, and everything matters. So the only people that get, so me and you, we're gonna face. If you beat me, depending on how that match goes, you score the points, but it could be up to 7 points or it could be down to 3, depending on how the match went. So,
Yeah.
like a big grinder, restart, an elbow foul, whatever. The longer the match goes, the less points the person who's winning gets. You get what I mean? But if you
Yeah,
go in,
it
boom.
reminds me. Do you remember that movie Best of the Best? It was a
I remember
karate
the
movie.
title, but I don't remember the movie.
Well, the tournament, it was kind of like that. The fights, you had like certain points to win, and depending on how the match went, you ended up getting points,
Oh,
and it's awesome.
yeah. So I'll send you after this. I'll send you the link of the one we did last year. It's actually very, very interesting. So what Mac did was we got together with them and said, hey, let's do this, what you did, on Mac tables and Mac rules, right? And
Yeah.
so we call it the Mac Tough event. It's Mac 3, but it's also, that part is the Mac Tough portion. So we're gonna throw that on pay-per-view, and it's got decent level pros, and it's just to open up the community to this new format of arm wrestling. And then after that, we have 10 super matches, all bangers, with the main event being Auden Larrett and Artem Taranenko.
Yeah,
So
I saw that one. I saw it coming too, but I
yeah,
didn't think it was gonna be that quick.
yeah, and I didn't think it would be Mac either, because we're only just finished our second show. Or a small promotion, but from what I'm understanding, there's a lot of buzz around it, and people are talking about it, and I'm not in the same room as them, so I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? But like, I'm getting people telling me, "Oh, can you give me more information about this and that? And can I see a link, or what can I do?" And I'm like, "Or how can I get on a card?" And I'm like, "Listen, we're really new and we're trying to figure everything out." And but we will have a system. We will have a system. We're going to have qualifiers, and the interest now is that we can't just be small because everyone wants to
Yeah.
participate.
Yeah, and it's here's the thing. Uh, in Puerto Rico, we have in Puerto Rico, no, in baseball, but I'm going to talk in Puerto Rico per se. In Puerto Rico, we have AA baseball, right? We got from professional baseball, we got AA, we got AAA, blah blah blah. Now, when you go to the park to a professional baseball game, it's not like people don't go that much to those games.
Okay.
Now, if you go to a AA, baseball game, the park is full. Like people go to support their players, you know, and 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 like the talent pool you have, like I think it's a recipe for success because you give everybody a chance, you know,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's
look
like
at
the
it
real
this way.
community.
Look at a pyramid, okay? So let's take a pyramid. At the top is the elite, right?
Yeah,
But the rest of the pyramid is full, right? So, I
yeah,
mean, I'm not saying we don't put elite arm wrestlers in. We got, I mean, I think it would be hard pressed to say that, Alan Ford's not elite or John Terrian's not elite. There's a couple of guys that have pulled for us that are very close to that. But even if they're not considered elite, they're very good professionals, okay? And there are a lot more of those. I mean, the talent pool is full of those guys, and let's put them together, and eventually the cream will rise to the top, and then we'll create elite guys, and either they'll stay with us or we give their blessing and we're like, hey, go to East versus West, go to Knuckles Up, go anywhere you need. We're supporting you. And when, and if you can grace us with your presence again, like when we do another event, we, just remember us, because if we're helping you make
you know,
you help make us. And it's a good,
yeah, we
yeah,
are in the same page because I want to tell you, like, uh, Alan Ford is an elite arm wrestler. John Terrian is an elite arm wrestler. Now,
yeah. Well,
they don't they don't
Brandon
do they don't do
Alcesor,
social media that much,
no,
you know,
but
and
Brandon,
that's the I think that's the factor that separates what they call elite now than what a real elite is, you know.
yeah, are you known? But look at it, look, Canada, other than Devon, like it's very hard for us to get the exposure that the Americans get or the Europeans. So Mac has done really well at making, the cards are heavy Canadians and then Americans, and sometimes like we're bringing a guy from Sweden over. You know what I mean? And we have a Russian or a Ukrainian on
Yeah,
the card. Last time we had a Russian on the card. So we don't mind, but the Canadians are doing really well against the Americans. Like Jamie Staken, nobody knew him. He beat Brandon Assessor 3-0. John Terrian, I mean, Brandon is a two-time East versus West competitor. John Terrian's
I
never
know.
went, but that's going to change to 100%. You'll see.
Yeah,
And John won. So Brandon, I love him. He's like a brother. In fact, I live closer to Brandon, who's American, than I do John Terrian. John Terrian's probably 7 hours from me, and I live on the border. The Brandon's like 2.5, 3 hours from me. So I'm
nice.
close. I'm good friends with them, and it was tough to see a good friend lose 3-0, but that's the way the sport goes sometimes.
Yeah,
And in our sport, we have, and I say our sport because the style of arm wrestling that we're doing might be different enough to call it maybe Mac arm wrestling. You get what I mean? Like its own
I get what you.
sport.
Yeah,
Because if I find that other leagues, when it becomes too difficult to play within the rules, the matches can look inflated in terms of the score. So, what I mean by that, well, if I'm much stronger than you, and really I should be winning 3-0, but because the rules are so strict that I get two infractions, boom, I get a loss. Maybe I get two losses, and maybe the score between you and me is 3-2 when it's really not that close. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
in Mac, if you and me you're the stronger guy and I'm the weaker guy, there's nowhere for me to run because we have three fouls and we have a running warning system, not a running foul system, a running warning, which means if I get a warning, I get back onto my pad, I can pin for win. Not like a running foul where if I get a runner,
yeah,
I have to pin to get my foul and restart. Whereas like little to no incentive. The incentive on a running warning, however, Is like, I'm still alive. I can win. And so guys love that. And a lot of times in our league, there's going to be 3-0. And if it's a 3-1 or 3-2, that means the match was very close. Do you get what I mean? Because we had a
Yeah.
lot of crazy matches. Every single match was super close, still was 3-0. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it makes it quick. It makes it, like, let's say, more fair
yeah, and
and
nowhere to run.
entertaining.
And nowhere to
Nowhere to
run.
run. Yeah.
Nowhere to run. You're stuck. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of people looking up at the sky and just inside themselves because they're like, you know, I don't know. It was, that's what I wanted though. I wanted guys to get real results. The setup is, you tell us, like you and me, we say, okay, you know what? Do you care about your thumb when we close hands? You say no, I say no, fine. We tell the ref, we don't care about thumbs. No problem. Whatever you guys agree to, as long as it's close your thumbs, close your hands, go, we don't care. It's your match. And that's why we had next to zero bitching and complaining from the losers, because they literally got to everything they wanted. Did you see what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. No excuse. No
yeah,
excuse.
like in WAF and IFA, the referees force you to comply to them. It's like the referee's match, not your match. It's, I'm not starting this until I'm happy. And our league, you guys fucking ready to go? You like that? Yeah, yeah, go. Like, we don't care. It's your match. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I saw it. Like, it wasn't exactly what you do over there, because the tables wasn't your tables. But when Devin came to Puerto Rico and he refed the matches here, it was like that. He was like, if you guys are comfortable, you can go. And he just let them arm wrestle, and they were great matches, like great matches.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
quicker, it's interesting, and it's way less bitching.
Let me ask you something. What is the purpose of sport? It's to have fun. Who
Yeah.
generally plays sports? Children. Children play sports because it's fun. So now adults, they like, we want to have fun, we want to play sports, but for whatever reason, we get involved and it becomes not fun anymore. It becomes everything else. It becomes, how much money do I make? How much do people love me because of what I do? Am I popular? Can I get a big social media or whatever it is? But it's not about having fun. And I'm like, this is nonsensical. I mean, how about we just pull because of the fun of it? You know what I mean? And like you said, like they just get to the table, they come in like a karate chop, the referee grabs your hands, they make sure the webbings are even, the head referee puts the straps on, then he the other guy lets go, I grab your wrists, I said, I got you center, no loading, you can keep a stiff arm but there's no back pressure or side pressure, you just stiff arm at center. I said, good, you guys are good, yeah, close your thumbs, close your hands, go. And I'm telling you, matches, boom, 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 boom. You know?
Yeah. And it sounds fun.
Yeah,
It
and
sounds
it's
fun.
fun. Like that's the thing. I
People be stressing before they get into a table and get, the referee isn't gonna fuck with them. People get stressing for that.
They do, but here it is. It's like you get put immediately at a fair position, which is directly under center. It's not like you and me trying to find center and one
Yeah.
guy being a little bit of a cheater. No, the referee put you center. Okay. Then the referee looked at your webbing and he matches your webbing perfectly. Okay, good. Now we put the straps on. We do fair strap. We get that nice in. Make sure the webbing is good. Okay, that's good. Okay, don't move. I crunch. Okay, now I'm center, close your thumbs, close your hands, go. And that's it. And the shoulders, we're not making people like, I'll tell you something. When they make you square up, like,
Yeah.
okay, this is actually really dumb because if people that are trying to go back pressure or side pressure, they need this ability to do that, right? And the further forward you go, this it's like this goes forward, but that shoulder comes back, and now you can't access the power like you can if you're like this. And so I
Yeah.
never understood that. So we don't even allow that. Like it's, I mean, if you want to set up like that, that's fine. But we have what's called the clock system. So left hand peg, 12 o'clock, Right hand peg, 6 o'clock. Your shoulder can be as far back as the 11 o'clock. You understand? So this is what WAF wants you, 12 and 6. We say 11. And all that is when we practice, everyone practices this way. You grab the
Yeah.
peg, you put your arm down, that's it. But for some reason, we can't actually arm wrestle like that. We have to go from here to there,
Yeah.
which is retarded. Okay, it does it makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. And I don't care if the top guys come out and say, no, no, it makes perfect sense because of this and that. It's dumb and nobody likes it. And you know how I know nobody likes it? Because nobody likes watching a ref go, square your shoulders, square, shoulder, 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 wrist, 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 shoulder, shoulder. 25 minutes later, we're still talking about wrists and shoulders. Like,
Yeah.
come on, buds. Like, nobody
Yeah.
cares. The pullers don't care. The fans certainly don't care. The only person that cares is the league or organizer and the referees. And we didn't pay to watch either of you guys.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, you got that set of rules, and you guys got your own thing because it's your own thing and you're having fun. But the table, the design of the table, why is it like that? Like it's like this when the pads and the pin pads are a little higher. Why that decision?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. One, you can't fall out of a hole. Okay.
Yeah.
And the tabletop, where it sits, and then it starts to go like this. From the elbow pad to the tabletop is an inch of height. So we're saying if your elbow comes up and it doesn't crest, doesn't come out of there, we're not calling it. It's not a foul. I don't even want to hear it's a micro foul. It's just not a foul. If your elbow goes like this, but it doesn't come up an inch, it's not a foul. Nobody cares. I don't care. My opponent doesn't care. We just want to rock. Okay. Now, if
Yeah.
it comes out of the hole, that's a stop foul. It's not a micro foul. It's a stop foul. All fouls are stop. We have a running warning system, but fouls are stop. Okay. Because it gets too confusing. And then the pid pads, they're an inch higher. There's a couple reasons. One, I think the WAF design is poor, and a lot of guys are doing the King's move when they're young and they don't even understand what they're doing, and they can keep a straight arm and they blow their bicep tendons. Okay, this is not like I hate the King's move. I did this because it just makes sense to not allow kids to blow their biceps. Okay, so you know, I find it always happens about a half inch above the pin line. When their arm is straight and then someone does a press and then boom, it goes right because your weight's
Yeah.
this way and then you get what I mean. And so on our table, as soon as your arm is straight, it's not like, oh, your arm's straight, it's over. It's if your arm's straight, you're going to be pinned because it's a whole inch higher. So and to me, it's it's less regulation of the King's move because there's a finality to it. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
You can pin the King's move, so we don't need to make rules against it. Now, of course, if you're on our pad and you dip, yes, that's a safety issue. If your shoulder's below the table and you're in King's, we call that because it's a safety issue. But if you're in an open arm top roll and you still got a bend and you're using your muscle, there's no problem. But as this happens, you get pinned.
Yeah, I totally understand it, and even that type of setup with the table. If you go into a king's move, you put yourself in a bad position of losing because you're going to be closer to the pad to lose. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
prevents
and it'll save
anyone to go for it.
it'll save guys getting pressed down and blowing biceps. Knock on wood, we have not had one major injury since starting this. Not one. And I praise God and I knock on the wood that it continues. Look, we can't save people from themselves. Like some people go into tournaments with injuries already and they don't know it. Okay. So something is bound to happen. But, you know, no break arms, no soft tissue damages, some tweaks, ow, boo boos, but nothing, no actual injuries have happened on a MAC table.
Yeah, and that's uh if you want to know if you're successful in doing something in sports, it's when there are no or very little injuries, you know? Because when
No.
you play sports or you compete in something, you don't want to get injured. That's not the point of sports. But when you prevent them and don't happen, you're doing something right.
You know what I'd like you to do if you could is maybe one day, because obviously I'm biased. This is my league, you know, my partner's leagues. Um, I'm gonna say great things, but I would like you to maybe get a couple guys, maybe like a referee, somebody that won and somebody that lost. Get all the perspectives and just have like this kind of conversation about Mac. What do you actually think? Because sometimes people, you know, they see you working hard and they see you doing a lot of stuff, and maybe they don't tell me the truth about what they really think, you know. So
Yeah.
at least if I'm not in the room, you know, some people, I'd like to be a fly on a wall as an expression. Like I'd like to be a fly on the wall when two people are talking about me, you know what I mean? So I could see what they
Yeah,
really
yeah,
think.
yeah.
So that,
But
like,
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I'm always happy when new things arrive in our sports. I'm always happy. And I'm always happy to see that there's space for everyone in this sport, right? But when I saw your table, I was like, hmm. And the first thing that caught my attention was the like it was like kind of flat, totally flat, and it had no pad. But I didn't say nothing. And I saw your table because I went to Winter Blast last year and I
yeah,
was
that
with
was
Brandon.
different though. That's a very
It was a
different.
different table.
We have 9 tables, 9 different. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but in Winter Blast, Brandon, Excessor, and John Terian were there, and there was a Mac table in the on the side.
yeah, that was probably 2 or 3 tables ago. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so but
This
I
new
saw it.
one, the one at the event, and there's gonna still be there's still gonna be some small changes. Elbow material, like the elbow pad material, we're gonna change. We're gonna change like very small things, but we're very happy with what we have, but we're not content. If we can think of a better thing to do that makes things more, you know, we're not going to be WAF and just say this is our table and this is what we're going to have for the next 30 years and you're going to adapt to us and we're going to leave these corners on the table so that your off arm can get hurt. It makes no sense to me. Like I it, like WAF doesn't have to adapt the Mac table, but you know what they need to do? Cut the fucking corners off the table. It makes no sense. It's hurting people. You
Yeah, you
know?
mean the pointy corners?
Yes. Round them off so people don't hurt
Yeah,
themselves. Makes no sense.
yeah, yeah,
And then our legs are not vertical; they're like this, and that also makes sense because people's legs aren't like this. We don't stand perfectly. We stand like this, and then when we wrap, our leg goes even. So why not why have a pole like this and your legs like this? So our poles are like this, and then you wrap, so it's perfectly aligned. You know?
yeah, yeah. But what I was gonna say is, I was kind of like, okay, I saw the table, and I didn't understand it, but when I saw it and I started talking to John and Brandon, I started getting it, right? But I wanted to see in action. I wanted to see what really happened. And when I saw your first event, first of all, I saw the face-offs and the interview the day before, and I went through all that. You talk about rules, you interview people, the guys talk to each other and everything. I saw everything because I
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
get to understand it. I wanted to understand it, and I understand. I got everything that you say, and then the event came up, and and for us arm wrestlers, like you don't notice things are different.
Yeah.
It's just normal. It's it's okay. We arm wrestle. You know,
That's
it,
it.
it it wasn't stressed. Like you didn't see no stress on the athletes. You didn't see no bitching, no people uncomfortable. You just saw arm wrestlings, and I went like, whoa.
Like
You know,
imagine
I
that.
got it. I
Imagine that,
understood it.
right? Imagine that you could actually go watch arm wrestlers arm wrestle and have a good time. I mean,
Yeah,
who would have thought? Good
bro.
idea.
One of the things that is bad for arm wrestling is people watching the sport and don't understand it. And when you see these professional matches on WAF, on big promotions that are really strict on the rules, the fans, that I think is the most important thing, those fans that don't arm wrestle but buy every pay-per-view, those guys those are the ones that are important, right? Most of them, they don't understand what's going on, even with the hand gestures and everything that the refs do. And when you see, like, you end up, okay, you always like it because I'm wrestling, but it's not the same experience. You always kind of like, okay, I didn't get that, but it was cool. But when I saw your event, I was like, whoa. I felt like at home. Like,
Wow.
okay, I got everything. Like I was in my garage having a practice and going all out. It was fun. Everybody, like, my wife understood it. Like, she said, like, I liked it because I didn't get, the fouls, and the fouls that happen, but they really don't, and all that stuff. I didn't saw that, and I was like, yeah. And you are onto something, because there's always space for everything, and we need fun. At the point we are today in the sport, we need something fun, and I think this is very fun, and that's why I like it.
Well, I mean, thank you. It is the goal that I'm trying to set out. I really want it to be accessible, and I want people to believe if they train really hard and they start winning their regional tournaments and they start building a name for themselves, that they actually have an opportunity to pull at Mac. And um, I mean, we're going to have different levels. There's going to be things for everybody. We want everyone to get an opportunity to pull on these tables. And let me tell you, people are buying them. The orders are coming in. The only problem is the guys that make them, their real business is making professional chiropractic tables, right? So they have a job, and
Yeah,
when business is slow, they'll work on our tables. That's just the way it is.
yeah,
But these guys, they're super professional. That's why everything's so like clean and nice, right? So
yeah. When you said chiropractor tables, I was like, oh, I get it now, because it looked that like that quality.
yeah. So they understand how to make professional tables. So if it takes a little bit of time, that's the way it is, and we're okay with it because I think by the end of this year, there'll be about 20 tables all over North America, probably maybe more, and that's enough to get started. And right now there's probably, like I said, 8 or 9 versions of it out there, and you can pretty much do what we need you to do on those tables. It's just they weren't perfect, so we kept changing this, changing that. You know what I mean? And this one is still not perfect, and that's fine because we're gonna talk to all the athletes after. What did you like? What didn't you like? What could we change? You know what I mean? And I think the elbow pad border wasn't thick enough, so they didn't know when they were into the warning. That was the biggest concern, which is okay. We'll make it thicker, like you know.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I would ask, and I have to ask it,
Sure, sure.
give some Latinos a chance on your promotion. They're
Hey,
strong
listen,
guys.
we
We
don't
got strong guys.
we don't discriminate. We have blacks, whites, females, yeah, Asians. We've had them all. We got a guy gonna pull maybe at the end of the month of March on the 29th in Rochester. His name's Paul Cruz, so that's
Oh
Latino,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Paul is half Puerto Rican.
There you go. So there
He
you
has
go.
has
So
half Puerto Rican.
you
Yeah,
need
yeah.
to
Paul is
shut
very
your
strong.
mouth.
No, but I was not critiquing. I was like asking. We got guys in Mexico, in Costa Rica. in Venezuela, Peru, guys that are good, and they're just waiting for a chance, to be discovered.
Look, I need to educate myself more on South America and Latin America, and all you Latin American people, if you find me on Facebook, send me your videos. Tell me your weight division. Actually, don't tell me your weight division because Mac has a weight division. You fit yourself there. Okay, we are right now. We're starting our lowest division. Unfortunately, is 160, 180, 200, 220, 240, 260, and super heavy. Actually, not 260, 240, and super heavyweight. Eventually, we'll go 140, and then we'll have 260. We're starting. We don't want to
Yeah.
have too many classes because we don't have all the athletes yet. But we are inclusive to everybody. I'm actually trying to work with Native Americans to start a league that's like a sister league for MAC. I'm going to call it NAC, Native Arm Wrestling Championships, and that way they can go from reserve to reserve, pulling MAC style arm wrestling. And when they get really good, then they can jump over and have an opportunity to pull.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really
no,
nice.
yeah. We have like, I'll be honest with you. If from a marketing standpoint, you want immigrants and minorities in your game. Like I always say this: if arm wrestling is going to blow up, it's going to be because we have a lot of like more blacks to go in. Because if blacks like it and they think it's cool, blacks tend to be like trendsetters, right? They may say they start wearing my Mac swag and looking cool. Then when they look cool, then white kids look at them and say, "Hey, that's cool. I'm gonna arm wrestle. I'm gonna wear Mac swag." You get what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's good. It's good for business and it's good for inclusion. I want everybody to have a good time at arm wrestling.
Yeah, and I think you have the recipe for that. I really do. I really do. And that's why I share all your stuff and everything you posted on your last event and future events. When you post it, just tag me. I'll share it everywhere I can share it because one, I like it. For one, I like it. Second, you had Ivan is a friend of mine. He's Puerto Rican too, and he was there in your last event. So anybody that helps and supports my friends, I will help and support them. So
He was at both. He was at Mac 1 and
yeah.
2. So what are you talking about? So I already had a Puerto
No,
Rican
I
there. What are you
know,
talking?
but we Puerto Ricans, we're American, we're from America, and,
Oh,
and
okay,
and
okay.
we live there, and we got a big community of Puerto Ricans in the United States, in Chicago, in New
Yeah,
York,
yeah, yeah.
Texas is growing, but I see other nations like Peru, the
Yeah.
level of arm wrestling in Peru is really really high, but they
Really?
haven't been discovered. Yeah, like they don't go to the world championships because they don't really have the means. They don't have the money to make those trips. But their levels is really really high. I got guys like Charles Medina. He's 70 75 kilo guy that pulls heavyweights like they're nothing. And I got this friend of mine. He has cerebral palsy. He's from Costa Rica. He's a really strong and good arm wrestler. Even though when he competes in the Paralympics and he competes in the open category, and he has cerebral palsy. There's there's some characters out there that are
Well,
up.
maybe one day when we have a bigger budget, maybe we just come to Peru,
Yeah,
start and just come set an event up there and maybe a tournament or something to start and see what's out there. Maybe bring some professionals from America and Canada and to test their level. And if they can pull, man, there's no reason whatsoever not to bring them over to. If they're legally allowed to come. You know what I mean? I don't know the politics and all that
yeah.
stuff,
They
but
have to they
apply
just get
for
a
a visa.
visa, and they can travel to the States.
Yeah,
But my I have close friends all over Latin America, and I know who's strong and who is a gem just waiting to be
I
discovered.
got a question. Brazil's got some arm wrestlers too, but so
Yes.
I actually didn't press the this okay button recording. Does that matter?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay,
recording.
okay. I was just like, oh boy.
No, no, don't worry about it. If not, we'll do it again tomorrow or something.
All right.
But anyway, Ian, I want to thank you for being here, and for everybody that has made it this far into the show. I want you to please follow Ian in his social media, in Facebook, in Instagram,
Major
and
arm
follow,
wrestling championships.
yeah, and follow Major Arm Wrestling Championship. It's a brand new thing. It's not that new, but it's a new thing on the scene right now, and it's creating a lot of buzz. Everybody's talking about it. It's fun, and I like it, and I'll support it, because I love when new things come into the sport and help to grow, and even more when they are fun, you know. And Ian is a guy that I've followed for years, years and years and years, and I'm so glad that he's doing this for the entire community. You know, makes me happy, and I thank you, Ian, for doing this.
Thank
I
you.
thank you,
I,
because
I, I
at some point we always we need the seriousness in the sport, but we do need to have fun too, you know, and to let loose, and this Mac promotion is very professional and very open and fun, which is the most important thing.
you can have both, right? You can have
Yeah.
professional and fun, and I think that's the, like you keep saying, the right recipe. I appreciate that, and hopefully it is, and hopefully Mac gets spread around the world, and we can come into every region, country. That's my dream, and I really want people to have fun. And I'm not saying arm wrestling as it is isn't fun. I just think that perhaps they have to reevaluate what's most important to them. And for us, we took arm wrestling. We said, look, let's take all the things that we like about it, keep it. All the things we don't like about it, throw it in the trash. And that's what
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah, and it's a like, everybody can choose what they like and what they don't like. And like Ian and me, we will always like arm wrestling because we love it. We've been doing it all our lives, or for a very long time, right? But for people that are new, or people that like arm wrestling but they don't really want to arm wrestle, you know, it attracts their eyes. You know, it could be a door for them to come into the sport and start watching it, and then start watching a little more, and maybe start arm wrestling, you know, because the truth is, people sometimes don't understand what they're seeing on the table. And when you see Mac, you just see arm wrestling and you go like, that was nice, that was fun, I want to see another one, you
Yeah,
know.
well,
and
I
and and
appreciate that.
actually, that was my reaction and my wife's reaction, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I want, is that it? I want to see another one, because it was fun, and it was like really clear, you know. I loved it. I liked it. I really
Thank
liked it.
you. I
So,
appreciate that.
Ian, you're doing God's good work for our sport too. You know,
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
we
Appreciate it.
we we are growing day by day, like really really big. Like we're taking big steps each day into growing this sport that we have loved for. Like, I've been arm wrestling since I was 16 years old. Like, I'm like 27 years in and around the sport, you know. And I've
Wow.
always liked, like, I was like, damn, why is this sport, people don't take it seriously? And we are in that time. People are taking seriously, you
Mhm.
know. Everything that is going on in the sport, it's good, and it's making it grow and grow and grow. And to me, like, I'm a romantic guy. My romantic dream is to see the sport in the Olympics, and I think we're less than 10 years from being seeing that, you know. So
I can't speak on it, but maybe. I know that it's not my responsibility to get us in there. The way I take it is, uh, my job is to get it out there. You know, have
yeah,
everybody see it. Asses in seats and eyes on TVs, watching arm wrestling. And smarter people than me might take that information and get it into the Olympics, and hopefully I can be a part of that. But there's got to be some kind of will. There's got to be some kind of market for the Olympics to say, yeah, makes sense. Let's get them in there.
Exactly. You took what I was thinking and you put it into words. It's the truth. I'm sorry. It's the
No,
truth.
it's
Like,
cool. No.
not everything, like, it's, we had breakdancing on the Olympics and we saw that, you know, anything can
Yeah,
happen, anything can
yeah.
happen. Anything can happen. And if it's good, it's good. And we will get there,
I also think
Funny.
strong. I think strongman should be in the Olympics too. I don't understand why they're not. They should be.
I think it's because of the doping, the steroids and stuff like that. I think it's because of that. I think,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, people in glass houses should not throw stones, and are
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you saw this documentary, Bigger, Stronger, Faster,
of course.
where Greg Valentino said, steroids are as American as apple pie. Oh God.
Yeah, it is. But again, all, my job isn't to fix the politics. It's not to fix the steroid issue. It's not to fix the Olympic issue. I am just breaking it down to the lowest common denominator, which is this fun? And
Yeah.
if it's fun and it's palatable for people and they can watch something that entertains them, then I've done my job. And then what springs from there, then who knows? Maybe drug testing comes in, maybe IOC comes in, and the Olympics, and if they ever want to have a sit down conversation with me, uh, I'm totally willing to do that. But it's not something that I can focus on. I just have to focus on what my main goal is. If I achieve it, then maybe we can branch off. You know what I mean? And try other
Yeah.
things.
I get you. I get you. And I will pray in my daily prayers for you and your promotion. And I'm a believer. I'm a believer. Uh, and I will pray for you guys. And I thank you, Ian, for being on this show, doing what you're doing for the community and for the sport. I ask everybody that watches this show to follow Ian in Facebook, Instagram, and all social media. Look for Major Arm Wrestling Championship, MAC for short, and follow it, support it, because it's a good thing and it's just getting started.
Yeah,
So
our Mac chat, like my personal social media, like no offense, there's no offense. Like as I just Facebook is it only allows 5,000 friends. You can follow me. I think I
yeah,
have like 56 or something. I can't remember, but my Mac channels, like my Mac Facebook, it only has 1,000. And you can have as many. My YouTube probably only has 400 subscribers. And these are all very important for us, right? To get the word out there and get knowledge. So, yeah, if you guys could subscribe, obviously it's going to help, and then it's going to show potential sponsors that hey, like there are people that give a fuck about this. Because if I go to a sponsor and they ask me what my reach is, I'm going to say, well, unfortunately, not very much. You know what I mean? But if I have 200, 300,000 followers, I say, well, I have, you know, this is my reach.
yeah, yeah.
So
I understand you. I understand you. That's why I was thinking a while back that when arm wrestling pay-per-views started, they were done through YouTube. Remember that? I think the first ones were by Bowen.
I can't remember. I thought I thought it was the PAL with Igor on arm
You
bets.
think
Think so.
that was the first pay-per-views, but through YouTube. Like you had to like if I threw a pay-per-view on my channel,
Yeah.
I think that will help grow more the YouTube channels related to any sport. But in arm wrestling, it I think I think it would help a lot to do them or those through that. That's why if you have preliminaries or something, have it live on YouTube and then have the pay-per-view
That's
just to
that's what that's what we are doing. We're doing live
yeah.
preliminaries on YouTube, and the thing is Prep Stream. I'm tied with them. They are my business partners, so I'm riding and dying with them. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
were
yeah,
there
yeah, yeah,
from
I know.
They were there from the beginning, and they believe in me, and I believe in them, and I really believe in them because I know the guy who he works like it's his full time job to make that site the best thing going, and the analytics. Like we know from all over the world, like where the buys are coming from. It's very high tech right now, and it's his baby, and he wants to be perfect. So he wants for this to be the best pay per view platform you could ask for, and he's very inexpensive. Like for me, it's obviously free, but he's my business partner. But like he's doing Knuckles Up. There's a reason that this is his second one because he's very inexpensive and he does a very good job. And that's Matthias
Nice,
Bedard.
nice. Yeah, I follow him on Instagram, and he follows me. Sometimes we talk and stuff like that, and talk about funny stuff, and memes and stuff like that.
Yeah, no,
But he's a cool guy.
he's real cool and he's super smart and he's very funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tell him, say when you see him, when you talk to him next time, Ian said he's going to kick you in the head and he'll know, you know.
I'll tell him that. I'll tell
Say,
him that.
Ian, what's this obsession Ian has with kicking you in the head? And I guarantee you, he's going to laugh very hard.
I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. Well, I think we've covered all the subjects that we wanted and even a little more. So I thank you, Ian, for being on the show.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
I I ask people again, follow Mac Arm Wrestle Major Arm Wrestling Championship on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'll put the links here so you can go and subscribe and follow and like all the stuff from these people because they are doing good things and it's really fun and I love it. And I know everybody that watches and starts following this promotion will get entertained and will find it fun. So Ian, thank you again. Anything else you wanted to add before we go?
I just want to say thank you to everybody involved. Thank you. Thank my spouse, Andrea. She's been there for everything. My partners, JJ and Matthias, my kids, everybody, and all you arm wrestlers that have taken the giant leap and of faith and are part of the family, Mac Nation, Mac clan, whatever you want to call it, you know, and and maybe one of these days we'll start calling our championships the Big Mac or something. No, we don't want to get
That
sued.
would be
We don't
nice.
want to get sued by McDonald's, so or the Daddy Mac or something like that, you know. But
Yeah, something like that. Well,
yeah,
anyway, this is it for today's show. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you everybody for watching, and God bless you all.
stay powerful.
Powerful.